Trying to go live on Instagram, but the button isn't clicking. So I'm still pressing the button. There it goes. And it seems to be that we're live. Hey, everybody. It is Tuesday morning. Hope you're having a good day. I certainly am. It is a good day when you wake up, you get to work on time, and you haven't even had coffee yet. Yeah, that was me today. Mind you, my coffee is after I get to work. I got my green room just outside here. Your choice of ground tea. Well, tea is tea, but ground coffee, you can go to cup, you got to get an espresso. This is selection. So every day is an adventure. Hope you're doing well. This is ASKaTrafficCop, that show on the internet that answers your traffic and police questions. My name is Shapiro. I'm a police officer here. I work for the Toronto Police Service Traffic Services Unit, and I'm a traffic guy, like hardcore. It's always funny when people say, you seem to be a person who follows the rules, who's really strict. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of what I do. That's kind of what I'm all about. But if you are watching and you would like to participate, maybe ask a question, talk about stuff and things, that's what we're here for. Feel free to ask questions. Now, everything works, I think. If you're watching on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Kick, and X, you can ask us questions. Now, Instagram is going to give you this little window in the center. And if Sergeant Campbell shows up later, I'll be moving over, which means you'll see Buddy instead of me. If you ever walk in and you see Buddy, know that you're watching and there's two people on screen and you can't see him. So maybe go to youtube.TrafficCop.ca to get the full widescreen experience. Or if you're on TikTok, there's so many options. So many options. Also, this is downloaded and reposted on podcasting platforms after the show. That allows you to drive and listen to the show lawfully without burning your data. So you still get to share time with us. It's just asynchronous. It's not live. Okay, let's get into stuff and things. I'm going to get the Vision Zero out of the way instead of doing the hellos, just because I don't want to forget. Now, Vision Zero is something that we believe in here at Toronto Police Traffic Services, and the city believes in it too, and communities across the planet buy into the concept, and that is we appreciate and understand that minor collisions are going to happen, but the ones that lead to serious injury and death are both preventable and unacceptable. So how do we change? How do we prevent those, serious collisions? Well, we try and educate people, talk about safe ways of driving, walking, biking, because it doesn't matter whether you walk, ride, or drive. You're at risk when you're on the road. Being out on the road is inherently dangerous. It's just what it is. Now, people will say, well, it's not enough to educate. Hasn't worked so far. Okay, the police are also involved in enforcement details or activities where we go and ticket people for breaking the law. And arguably, people will say, or inevitably, people will argue that that's not enough. So cities plan and design and change the way they build roads and streets and so on to prevent or deter people from breaking the law, doing dangerous stuff. And as a combination, these things together hopefully reduce those serious injuries and death. Sadly, we still do get some, and sometimes it's a lot. Last year we had a lot. I think we had 25 pedestrians killed. Not acceptable. We do have people that work every day to change the behavior of motorists, because very often they're the ones who are at fault, or at least involved. Now, how do they do this, changing the behaviors? Well, they go out there and they enforce the law. Yes, that's what they do. They are out there every day looking at the big four. They're looking for people who choose to speed, drive aggressively, drive distracted, and drive while impaired, under the influence of alcohol or drugs. They go out there and they make a difference one ticket at a time. Today, they happen to be doing it again because they do it every day. Today, they are out there, being the 9th of January. They are out there in 31 Division and 55 Division. Those are neighborhoods like Black Creek, Humber, Mead, Glenfield, Downsview, the Beaches, Riverdale, Danforth, East York, neighborhoods where real people live, work, and play and deserve to be safe. It's pretty simple. If you don't want to meet one and you don't want their autograph or a ticket, I would suggest you follow the law, because they don't hand out warnings. They are all about lasting impressions in black and white on paper. All right, we got Kayla Draconis with greetings and salutations. Chase with his now, I think you've got it trademarked, good morrow. Hey, Sarge. See, I warned you that Sarge might be joining. And you might be looking at Buddy. So I'll move over and make room for the boss man. Stephen Bell, hi, good morning. I'll flag the dad joke for. Oh yeah, I was looking for somewhere to put this, and I put the ribbon on it. I was being creative. I tied a piece of ribbon across the microphone. It caused confusion.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. We've got Randy McNaught who says, "Good Tuesday morning, Sean," and hopefully Sergeant Campbell. And it's almost like Randy reached out to you and cosmically influenced your arrival.
It's almost like they expect me to be here.
Kind of, sort of.
I do the best I can when I get the chance to do it. So,
which is good, and we like it. Akil is giving me updates on his meeting status, and he's got a quote of the day too. We'll get to that in a bit. Now, this is a man who has more Yogi Berra quotes than I've ever seen, and he promises to quit when he runs out. I don't know how long that's going to be.
There must be a book somewhere.
Must be. Kyle says hi. Moto Windsor says, "Good morning, Sean." And let's see here. I'm going to flag this question for a second from now. Kyle the Destroyer. Let's see. Okay, we'll flag that and we'll get into it. Stephen Bell says, he's got news to share with us. We got questions. We got Tim Shallow with a good morning. Oh, wrong button. Here we go. Michael L. Snowmobile question. Okay, we'll flag that.
Maybe able to help you with that.
Yeah, probably. Corey Wilkins, a new name. I don't think we've seen you before, Corey, but good morning and welcome to the show. Good morning, Sean. Looking forward to today's episode. Awesome. And Tim had followed up with a good morning for the sergeant.
Good morning, Tim.
And so Akila wants to know if you heard the dad joke, the trout joke yesterday.
No, but is there something fishy about it?
This might be. We'll have to read it again for him later. Okay, more Chase questions, and we're about to get into it. This is the whole concept of the show, if you hadn't figured it out, is people ask questions, we give answers, and then we talk about stuff. Of course, we also talk about employment and other general police stuff, but our focus is traffic services, traffic law, and traffic safety. But we do sometimes talk about other things like donuts or...
donuts.
Ryan says... maybe we'll lead with Ryan's question because he starts with a good morning, Sean and Sergeant, but slides into a question. So let's make this one the first question of the day. Good morning, Sean and Sergeant Campbell. Question: does TPS ever have traffic safety blitzes for infractions other than the big three? We could use a blitz for drivers running reds while turning right. Oh my goodness, we absolutely should make that. I think it would be like a full-time job. There are so many people who choose or don't even. I don't know do you think it's an active choice to run the red on the right, or are they just so oblivious to what is expected of them that they're turning right because they just don't know?
I honestly believe people think that they don't have to stop when making a right turn. I honestly, truly believe that.
I don't understand that.
I've seen many people in court come in there and go, but I was turning right. And the prosecutor says, but you didn't stop. Yeah, but I was turning right. So, not safe, not lawful.
There are so many things, and we're in divisions like 52 Division. They have a big problem with bicycles, e-bikes and bicycles on the sidewalk. So they have their crew units, the community bicycle units out there educating and ticketing. I don't know which order they go in, but they are definitely out there trying to influence people to do the right thing and protect pedestrians. There's just a ton of different things that we need. If we could spend time on each and every one of them, we'd stay busy for the rest of our careers.
Well, we could be busy. 10 times the number of officers we have could be busy out there every single day because people are still doing it.
Mm-hmm. And I don't see it stopping. So from that perspective, I appreciate that you want to make sure we have work to do so our jobs are safe.
Yeah.
David says, yeah, a lot of people do that. It is so true. What is this? Joe says, I heard that from somewhere in Alberta. Not sure if it's true. Not sure what we're talking about, Joe. Put you up on screen. Luke, Ontario says, we now have more police on TikTok than on the street. World is upside down. I don't know if you're accurate. What do we have, about 4,500 uniformed members in the service?
Yeah.
I don't think we have 4,500 members on TikTok.
You know what? If they're doing TikTok stuff and providing a service while they're working as well, what's the harm of that?
Listen, we had an officer who's since retired, but he made a point of saying, I'm on my lunch now. I'm on my lunch now, and I'm giving you a service.
Yep.
So that was very cool. And he still does it. Now that he's not a police officer, he still creates content supporting the police.
And you know what? When I'm on the street, I'm on the street. I can't do this. But when I'm in the office and I have meetings and I have stuff that I'm planning, and I have an available moment that I can jump in here, I believe there's benefit to this.
Absolutely there is, and we know it to be. I can't tell you how many times, because I haven't kept track, where I've run into people in the wild. I mean, I've been eating lunch or walking through a shopping plaza, and someone's come up to me and says, "Hey, I watch your show. It's really awesome. You know, thanks for doing what you do." Or I got my license because of stuff that you helped me learn. Like there's been so much positive feedback. It warms the heart. Truly, it does. It's really rewarding. Okay, let's get into some other stuff. We've got first question. That technically Ryan was his first question, but let's get into the second question. If you're second in line at an intersection and there is no median, can you just U-turn right there, even if the light is red?
So if you're second in line, you have not reached the white line, you're not going to enter the intersection in any way. That would be like a U-turn anywhere else, as long as it's not signed and as long as it's done safely, then yeah.
Now, not signed and also not in a location. Like if that intersection happens to be right in front of a bridge viaduct, unlikely that would be the case, but there are places where it's never allowed, like bridge, viaduct, tunnel, edge of
Crest of
curve,
grade,
of grade, where there's no visibility. So here's the deal. While it may be legal to perform the maneuver, it might have a negative output or outcome, I should say. And if it causes a collision, if it turns out to be not as safe as you thought it was, you're on the hook. You made the turning maneuver that caused it. Yeah. So,
But is there a specified law that says you can't do it? No, absolutely not. As long as you don't enter the intersection in any way.
I concur. Ken the Destroyer, what a great username. I slow down if there are a lot of factors in sight. I don't think some people understand that. I don't know if I understand what you're saying.
Probably talking about a right on a red.
Well, it's not just slow down, though. It is absolutely a requirement to come to a complete stop and only then cross the white line if it exists or cross past the sidewalk. Generally speaking, it's going to be a white line at most signalized intersections. But you have to come to a complete stop and only then can you proceed. And people are getting dinged on red light cameras all the time.
Yep.
Because
you're obligated to stop before the lateral extension of the sidewalk at the intersection. So there you go. Stop there or the white line, which is usually before the lateral extension of the sidewalk. Proceed when it's safe.
Stephen Bell says, I've seen last night on the news that there were only 43 impaired drivers over the holidays here in London. 43 over the holidays, like the entire holiday season? That's lower than I would have anticipated because we were having, on average, 23, 20, I don't know if we call it 22. A weekend. So if you're talking about the holiday season as a whole, that's not as bad as it could be.
43?
Too many.
Yeah.
Still too
disgusting.
Many. 0 is the only acceptable number.
Yeah.
Are the school buses canceled in Toronto too? This is a question from Kyle. And Kyle, I don't have an answer for you. I don't know. Is there a Googly-Goo website that we could find that out?
I have no idea.
Like School Watch?
Yeah,
I have to look into that.
I don't know. With so many school boards in the city of Toronto, I don't know if they all have the same providers. I know outside the city, in anticipation of the weather that's happening today, they are canceling school buses. Now, I was having a conversation this morning. I remember back when I was going to school, taking the school bus.
Good luck.
And I wanted them to be canceled, and they would come. And the old, 70s or 80s school buses, manual transmissions, no snow tires, and they'd be sliding around corners. You'd always sit in the back because it was fun to sit in the back when they were skidding around corners and stuff. So,
well, I just checked on Twitter. According to the Toronto District School Board, they posted on Twitter, school bus service are operational today. Services, plural there. However, there is a likelihood of extended delays, particularly for the return journey in the afternoon, influenced by weather and traffic updates. Updates and delays will be posted by school bus operators on transportation portal, whatever that is. I know not. But there you go. We have done our investigative research and come up with answers to your questions. That's how we work here sometimes. Here's a snowmobile situation.
All right.
From Michael. So I have my snowmobile on a frozen lake. Can I stunt drive? Not a beach, park, bike, path, trail, farmer's field, sports field, parking lot, garage, structure, whether public or private.
Can you? Yes, it's not named. So I looked it up here. 455, Regulation 455 gives what the specified places are. And like you said, it's parking lot, beach, park, bike path, trail, farmer's field, or sports fields, including a beach. Can you? Yes. Can it be careless and can it be dangerous?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Because it's anywhere, which includes there.
Right. So, and there's only certain provision of the stunt driving law that apply there. There is no speed limits there, obviously, but there is a maximum of
Interesting
150.
you bring that up. That's exactly where I was going to go. It's anywhere 150, so that could still be stunt driving.
Right. It could be. So try and keep your snowmobile at 149.
Wow. I can't imagine. I not having been, I've never been on a snowmobile, so I cannot relate to this, but I imagine it's really quick.
Yeah. I have actually slowed down. My new snowmobile that I have now is actually an awful lot slower than the one I had before. And I had to do that because
You need heated grips?
I wanted to stay alive.
Alive is important.
So heated grips are a must on anyone.
Is that right?
But,
I would imagine so.
Yes, the previous one I had before this was one of the fastest out there.
Wow.
So, yeah, be careful.
Careful is good.
Because what you don't see is what's going to pop up in
And
the
there
lake
are
and kill you.
And there are special are there not special constables out there that can enforce these laws?
There are trail wardens that are special constables, and they're looking for everything that's out there. Not only a trail permit, but your sobriety, your Val tag.
Right.
So don't forget, you're not allowed, or you don't need to have a Val tag in anything other than a commercial motor vehicle
And a snowmobile.
or your snowmobile.
Yes. Not that you have any issue or that doesn't upset you at all.
So don't forget, I had a look at mine last weekend, and I haven't put a sticker on mine yet. So I have to get that before I go out.
Important stuff to do.
Yep.
Victoria Pereira says, good morning and Happy New Year. And Victoria, same to you. Thank you so much. We have a question about, and I read this not knowing what incidents they're talking about, Moss Park and Regent Park's incidents. Sadly, I don't see your username here, but I see your icon. I don't know of what you speak. We're traffic officers. If there is stuff local to a division that's going on, we may or may not be involved in it. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Let us know.
Yeah, give us more information. Shaggy says good morning. And Davo wants to know Davo wants to know if you are Highway Patrol, or we are Highway Patrol. And Highway Patrol is one of the functions we have.
Yep.
But we are the traffic services unit for the Toronto Police. So we are a traffic-centric unit. That's what we focus and specialize on. We are still police officers, but we are part of the municipal police service that polices and is responsible for the city of Toronto.
And we have, every day, we have a dedicated group of officers that are directly assigned to the highways that we patrol, which would be the Don Valley Parkway, Highway 27, the Gardner Expressway, Allen Road, Allen Expressway. Those are the highways that we're responsible for patrolling. The OPP, on the other hand, does the Highway 427 and the 401 in the city of Toronto. So are we Highway Patrol? Yep, some of us are, and it can be switched up day in, day out. All depends on who's around and what we need.
But at the end of the day, we are police officers, and wherever we're needed, whatever we're doing, whatever we come across, we do what we got to do.
We do.
So I was riding in the motor squad once, and I had someone run up. He's got a knife, and that's where suddenly the traffic hat is put in the back pocket, and now you're just a regular cop dealing with a person with a knife and whatever's coming your way. So interesting stuff. I think it's the best of both worlds, being able to have a specialty but still be able to do other stuff.
I agree.
I lowered the desk after I raised the mic. Okay. This one I think is an offline discussion, anonymous, but we'll go on to AOJ. Are snow chains illegal? I mean, when I'm stuck in the snow because the street wasn't plowed yet.
Snow chains and studs on your tire are both illegal in southern Ontario. Above the French River, anywhere north of the French River, studding your tire is lawful during certain times of the year. And snow chains. Snow chains are usually used for low speed on back roads.
And specifically, Northern Ontario, where it's legal to have studded tires, are right on the screen right now. Algoma, Cochrane, Kenora, Manitoula, Nipissing, Parry Sound, Rainy River, Sudbury, Thunder Bay, and Temiskaming.
So I would say if you're off-road or you're stuck in the snow and it's not a paved road, then
Get out of the snow.
yes, you have to become unstuck somehow. Can you drive with them on? No, not continuously.
I've seen some very interesting contraptions for commercial vehicles where they have this spinning rotor of chains that spins and only goes under the tires to get them out of stuck situations. It's really, we'll have to pull up the videos later. I don't know how those fall into. I've never seen them in Ontario. One note, and I was talking to somebody in the DMs yesterday, talking about they're from Northern Ontario. They want to visit Southern Ontario. They have studded tires on. Are they allowed to visit with studded tires? And you are allowed to come in for 30 days, up to 30 days.
And you know the reason why, right?
Because you can't do a tire change. You have to get here safely.
Well, you know why we do allow studded tires? Because they're better on the ice. They're not better on the pavement. In fact, they're worse.
But
and
they reduce.
And they damage the road.
But less so than chains.
Oh, absolutely. Less so than chains.
All right. Back into it. We got Chase with another question. If I had an older car, let's see here, I'll make it big. If I had an older car and retrofitted my stereo into an iPad, but it was permanently attached, is that screen visible or use if I change the radio? I would say, and this is my interpretation, if you are retrofitting, you're changing it, it's a permanent attachment, it functions and takes over things, but it's permanently attached to the vehicle, I would say it's now your new radio.
This is an iPad we're talking about.
But there are a lot of conversions. Like you look at the computer that's inside of a Tesla, it's the same. It's essentially the same thing, but you can't use it for other functions. It would have to be on software that's CarPlay dedicated.
Right, but an iPad is something different. Just because you permanently mount it in there, does it qualify? It is initially intended as a handheld communication device. It really is. So this weekend, I was at the motorcycle show. Mm-hmm. My motorcycle, I have a Harley, it does not come with a display at all. It's just a radio. In fact, it takes CDs, if you remember what those are. Mm-hmm. So I bought an upgrade. I bought an upgrade one where the single DIN, the tiny little radio comes out, and a new one goes in with a permanently mounted display on it that has Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and I will be able to use it just as I would in my car with the regular display that is already built into my car. It's no longer a handheld communication device. I'm not touching my phone. My phone's connected, and I can do it. It's lawful. Mm-hmm. Now, if I crash while I'm playing with it, I'm responsible for that. If I'm driving carelessly and not crash, I'm still responsible for that. But it doesn't meet the criteria of the handheld communication device.
I see what you're saying. No, and I have to agree with you. I think that if you're still completely accessible to everything that it does, it's a problem. If it's truly CarPlay, then you're restricted to what the CarPlay functions are.
Yep.
And you'd still be fiddling with something that you shouldn't be. If it took over and became your infotainment system that was connected to your car and no longer functioned in its original system, maybe there's a way to zap it, but there'd probably be a dedicated system then made specifically for that purpose as opposed to an app you download.
Right.
Either way,
yep.
I think it could go either way. I think that you'd be running a risk, and you shouldn't be fiddling around with stuff. Also, if you were watching television, because people can watch movies, I think, on Tesla now, depending if that is being done, that's immediately against law.
Another charge.
Yeah.
And your iPad has the capability of doing that as well.
So the answer is I don't have a perfect answer. But I think that there's clearly a way to interpret it as a device that was designed to be a handheld communication. So you could find yourself having to explain it in court, and then we'd see if there'd be case law, and we'd watch it with bated breath to find out how it ends. So you could find yourself in a situation. Yeah. Okay. As snow chains are illegal,
I think we...
I mean, when I'm stuck in snow because the street was... So that's just a follow-up. Okay.
Yep.
We've covered it. Rooks. Good morning, sir. And let's see here. Make it big. And anyone report on a vehicle or vehicles on suspicious racing on the roads? Can anyone report? Yes. So if there's a neighborhood complaint about the kind of activity taking place in an area, you can do it online. If it was happening right now and you thought, that could be a 911 call. We got a whole bunch of cars doing burnouts and racing. That's something police need to know about immediately because that's immediate risk to persons and stuff.
Yeah, but if you're able to identify the vehicle and the vehicle has done this and you are willing to bring that information to us, you can also report that online.
Sure. We have neighborhood complaints and specific vehicle complaints. You could even make an anonymous complaint through Crime Stoppers because it is a crime.
Yep, absolutely.
There's a lot of people who are out there doing things that they think are just traffic tickets, but they're actually delving into the realm of criminal activity. And I need water.
All right.
Let's see here. We got this is one we talked about before. Do out-of-province vehicles require a plate on the front of the vehicle? Well, it depends, because it depends if they've been issued to. And if you and there is an exemption under the HTA that says that if they're not issued to, they don't require them here.
See, I've never been able to find that exemption.
I found it because Chase gave it to me. I didn't even know about it, actually. You and I both agreed that we would just, not give them a ticket because we understand.
Common sense, right.
But
if somebody comes in from Quebec, then they're never issued one. There's no way for them to do it. Now, provinces like New Brunswick have the option. You can pay for a second license plate to have mounted in the front if you're traveling to provinces that require it.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's interesting that they give them an option for that purpose. But I have seen, so Chase gave it to me. I did look at it. This is where it's a community where members of the audience contribute to the show, and that was really cool.
I've never looked into it because I probably would use common sense and not issue it.
Well, you'd never need it, yeah.
But if you had an Ontario one and you only had one plate on there,
that's a problem.
Yeah, that is a problem.
I downloaded a video of somebody on TikTok who talked about the new front grille, and they haven't received the stuff, so he hasn't mounted the front plate, and he was making a big joke of it. So I plan on stitching that later. Just saying. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to scroll down because there's a whole bunch of stuff. I'll put something else on the screen first. We've got Evandro who's here. Says, good morning. Your Brazilian fan is watching again. Soon to be auxiliary with Peel. Fingers crossed for you that everything goes through. Let's see here. It said, question about licenses. And what is the question? Does DZ work as an equivalent to a 3Q manual, but in Ontario, you only have to do it in automatic? You are speaking another language to me. Do you understand what this question is?
Kind of, but I don't know what a 3Q manual is. So I know for Class A license, you can take your license either using a manual transmission truck or an automatic transmission truck. I would imagine it's the same for Class D vehicles. And you are restricted to operating a vehicle with the same transmission. So if you take your test on a manual transmission, you can operate both. If you only do it on an automatic, you're limited to operating automatic transmission vehicles. There's an awful lot of skill. 18 speeds, there's an awful lot of skill of being able to operate those ones, along with everything else that you're doing. So the test that is there while you're doing it. Like the test is there to allow you to do it for the older vehicles. A lot of them are automatic now, which...
Or are they semi-automatic?
Kind of good and kind of not.
I don't know. I think we're missing some stuff. I think that, and it was a comment made by somebody somewhere yesterday, that the fancier, the more automated, the more complex the vehicles get that do more things for drivers, the skill level of the drivers are diminishing. If you don't need to know how to look behind you to back up, you don't know how to back up anymore. You rely on that camera. If it fails, you're stuck. You're in a situation where you're left.
Well, if it fails, you're stuck, yes. But is it making it safer? Is proximity warners, is cross-traffic alerts making it safer? Is adaptive cruise control making it safer? Absolutely. It's better than non-adaptive cruise control where you're running into the back of somebody.
But is the skill level of the driver now reliant on that technology to be safe?
I got to tell you, I had to know my times tables because my teacher told me back in grade school that I wouldn't be walking around with my calculator anytime I needed it.
Yeah.
And guess what happened? The technology came up that I actually walk around with my calculator, not only my phone, but on my watch as well. I don't need it anymore. It's taken over and it's better.
But it's still great to have knowledge. It just helps you. So knowing stuff is still good. What happens when you get into a car in Cuba because they don't have backup cameras there? Just saying. Okay, we got next stuff. Okay, we covered the DZ question. If you have rubber floor mats, are they helpful if you're stuck in the snow? Oh, they are helpful. It's not a question. It's a statement.
They could be. Make sure you know which way you're putting them down. So the bottom side is usually a slippery side. So if you put that down in between the road and your tire,
you might just shred it and melt it.
You just make it slipperier.
I can say, I guess if they were studded floor mats.
No, there's the top of the floor mat has siping in it and contours and all that. Mm-hmm. If you use that to gain some traction on a very slippery, it may or may not help you.
Kitty litter or sand is a good thing to carry.
Kitty litter and sand and a shovel.
Shovel, good. What is this? I got a comment of, I think there's a need for safety vest for pedestrians while crossing. Oh, vest. I think you mean vest. So this is a suggestion, I believe, that pedestrians wear reflective material while out and about. And I'll tell you something, reflectivity, bright lights, things like that, they're good for everybody. Being visible is a benefit. It is not necessarily something that will prevent a collision, but it's definitely better than not having it. Oddly enough, not everybody appreciates the suggestion that reflectors or bright color clothing are a good idea. And that's where you choose. Like, I buy lottery tickets because I'd like to win versus not. If you don't buy, you can't win. So I'm there to win. I haven't won yet.
Have you seen any construction workers around? Have you seen police officers around?
Tow truck drivers?
Tow truck drivers, flashing lights, high visibility vests. It's there to make you be seen, to make it safer. Now, you're relying on the other driver, make sure they're paying attention, but it gives you the best opportunity, the best chance. I got chastised. The media took, I did a presentation where a community safety group in the city of Toronto went out and bought reflective armbands for the members of their community to make it safer for them. It wasn't anything that I had done. It isn't anything I had suggested. The facts are there to say that it's safer that way, or else it wouldn't have all these laws requiring workers and everybody to wear high reflective vests and
It's a fine if you are caught working without one.
The media was there. They heard my speak about how much it can help, and they thought I was blaming the victims, and they shouldn't have to wear them if they don't want to. Well, it's true. You're not obligated to wear it. But the only thing that you may be helping is yourself. And you might as well be alive than correct and dead.
Yes, you can be right and dead.
Yep.
At the same time. No, I think it's really great advice. And but you said something just now, and it's that you're relying on the other. You cannot rely on drivers. Drivers are half in their phones. You have to be aware of what's going on in addition to doing things to improve your odds of survival. So yeah, relying on anybody and assuming they're going to do it for you, really bad plan. You know, stepping out onto the road because you thought they saw you, even whether you're wearing reflective stuff or not. You can never assume. That's where we get into tint and that whole nonverbal communication thing, because I want to make eye contact with the driver to make sure the driver sees me. Just looking at the car doesn't mean anything. And if you can't see inside, that's a real problem. So when people say, why are we all, uppity about tint? We got a problem with tint because tint makes it harder for people to communicate and for pedestrians to be seen.
Absolutely.
All right. Victoria got back from walking the dog.
Oh, that sounds rough.
But I saw that you made a comment about parking, and unfortunately, I didn't catch the other portion of your question, so I don't know the context. So please ask again now that you're back. And you got a demotion.
Okay.
I'm the PC. He's the sergeant. He's got the stripy things on his shoulder.
Calling you back. I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know. Correction. No such thing as snowmobile. What? There's no snowmobile wardens?
There certainly is.
Steve, where are you getting your info? What province are you on? Where are you?
Yes, so trail wardens are out there.
Okay.
They are volunteers assigned to the Snowmobile Club, and we also have on Ontario trails, we have the OPP out there. The SAFE team is out there as well, conducting enforcement out there.
That's cool. I still have no experience with that. Stephen Bell has donated $3 to Mad Canada, and I've got my red ribbons right here. Still rocking the red ribbon. I'm glad you're supporting them. It's very, very kind of you to do so. They do great work, and they're an organization that I don't think people understand like they used to. The volunteers usually, most often, that volunteer with MAD are people who have themselves lost a loved one to impaired drivers, to an impaired, involved crash. So truly tragic. You hear some of the speakers, parents, siblings of those who've died as a result of a collision. It is heartbreaking. Like no other way to describe it.
I agree.
Okay, I'll flag a bunch of other questions, but while I'm flagging stuff, just a reminder that we are Toronto Police Traffic Services, and this is Ask a Traffic Cop. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service. Next to me is Sergeant Murray Campbell, a sergeant with the Toronto Police Service. And we talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff on a regular basis. We do this from 10 to 11 weekdays, most weekdays, not all weekdays. And we also put out lots of content. We're working on we're going to create some cool content about towing.
Yes.
Because that's something people don't know.
Big changes in the tow industry. We're talking about it right now. I have a meeting tomorrow with the Ministry of Transportation, who sort of pushed for the new provincial takeover of the legislation that is now controlling the tow truck industry to try and make it better for everybody out there, for consumers. So unfortunately, we have enough of a lot of bad players in the industry, along with the majority of good players. We want to keep everybody on the same level and the same page.
This is good.
Yeah.
I like regulations. Peter's 1382 wants to know if there's a law about oversized tires sticking out of the wheel wells of a pickup truck or any vehicle for that matter. And there are, although it's not. So you have to cover your vehicle's tires with fender flare, mud flaps, that sort of thing, because it's rain and rooster tail effect and debris being shot up. And there is a maximum, but I got to talk to an MTO person to get the actual maximum, because I've seen vehicles roll out of dealerships that are sticking out more than I think is legal.
Right. So there's a maximum width of a vehicle, and your tires have to be covered in the times of acclimated the weather. If it's rainy, it can't splash, can't spray, can't everything. You would have to cover it to be able to drive when it's rainy out. So are you going to park your car when it's rainy if you make that modification? Plus, if it is wider than the 101 inches that's
It's just
allowed,
not legal for the road.
it's not. Yeah.
I can't imagine it being, not all the time. Because there's debris, there's rocks, there's things, even if it's not raining. I would think it should always be. And there's the risk in where I come from, or where I'm coming from in the statement, is that big tires, you pass a pedestrian, you're used to where your vehicle ends, the vehicle sticks out now beyond. You take a pedestrian out because you catch them on their clothing. Like, there's so many safety risks. If it isn't illegal, it should be. And it should be all the time, in my opinion.
But depends on the situation. Some are, some aren't.
Yes. Can you make a right turn on a red light while facing an advanced left? So the right turn situation says that you must wait until it's safe to do so. You have to come to a stop and make a right turn when it's safe.
Actually, the red light says that even more. Anybody facing a red light has the ultimate obligation they can only enter the intersection when it's safe. The person facing the advanced left turn has the right of way. 100% has the right of way.
Now, could you, if they were going into the appropriate lane, you had a 2-lane road and they were going to the appropriate lane as they are required to, and you are making a right turn, it's conceivable that is okay. But if that person goes wide, you didn't meet your responsibility.
And 100% of the obligation is going to be on you when it comes down to your insurance, and because you're facing a red light.
Now, we could also charge the person for making the improper left turn, but that doesn't necessarily change the outcome of your collision investigation. There's just, as police, we don't really deal with what happens with the insurance company. We charge people based on the activities they were involved in. If they made an illegal left turn and you made an illegal right turn, you both get tickets. We will write up a collision report saying what happened. Insurance companies look at that and determine who's more at fault. They do their own thing. Even if we said it's absolutely only this guy's fault, they will still make their own determination because it's the private agreement between them and their customers. Okay. Question about vaping. Is it okay while driving if it's tobacco?
Is it okay?
Well, it depends, because it's covered under the Smoke-Free Ontario Act, and if it is tobacco and not an illegal substance, it would be illegal as long as there's nobody under the age of 16 in your vehicle, because then it would be covered by a charge there, or if it's in your workplace vehicle, because it's also not legal there.
I was just about to add that one in there.
I got it in time. Let's see here. Tom B says, I totally believe your show has a positive benefit, not only entertaining, but also very informative. And as a bonus, places police in a positive light. Well, thank you very much. Yeah. Much appreciated. I may have to clip your comment and, and share it with our chief.
Apparently you're entertaining too.
Sometimes. But it's only...
Yeah, don't go.
I'll go there.
Yeah.
Okay. Is driving with a ski mask legal?
Yep.
So yes, very often when I talk about the fact that tint is a situation where you can't have it because we have to be able to identify the driver. When I say identify, I don't mean identify saying that's Bob driving the car. It's being able to see the driver, what they're doing, and being able to provide a description as they sit in the car at that time. So if you're wearing a ski mask or a COVID mask or any kind of other mask, it's legal. I've just got to be able to say, I see a guy wearing a mask or a person wearing a mask.
Now, if you get pulled over, you have to be able to identify yourself, and we have to believe your identity is true. So will you have to pull off the ski mask? Probably.
I've never had that happen. Never.
And if you just robbed the bank and you still got the ski mask on,
And we have reports of a person with a ski
that may
mask?
be the reason we're pulling you over.
Yeah, and at which point you might have a less comfortable traffic stop.
Yes.
Just saying. But it's a great question. It's never been asked before, and whether it was a joke or it was serious, I appreciate it. Let's see here. We talked about this already. If someone suspects a driver of racing or excessive speeding, can it be reported? You can report anything you like. Suspected, what does that mean? Does that mean you saw a witness and you know it happened, or you think they look like people who could be racing? Like, you provide a report of what you think is happening. We would investigate it. We may or may not be able to actually act on that information, but it may meet up with other information we've already received and help us out. So if we've got 25 calls for people who are racing in the area and you're the one who has the license plate to go along with the description, you've just been very helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a threshold we have to meet before we lay charges, but every little bit that we get can add up to a whole lot.
Truth. I got sent a license in the mail. Both have the same expiration date. Just wondering why I got sent one.
Did you modify one? Did you change your address? Did you upgrade your license?
Did you get a G2 over a G1? Did you get more experience? Did you hit the 4 stars maybe, or the 4 dots? Maybe. The big thing is look at the back. There is a unique serial number that is on your license. One of them is valid, one of them is not. I've never heard of two being made the same.
Yep.
So what you'd want to do is check with the ministry or a police officer to find out which is the valid one and destroy the one that isn't valid, because you could get charged for
Yes,
carrying
you
the wrong
cannot even possess more than one license. So look at the back. Usually it's called the Trillium number that's on the back. Trillium for Ontario, because that's our flower. Look in the back. The one with a higher number is usually the one that's been issued most recently.
I would double check anyway. I just to make sure, because you don't want to destroy the good one and have the bad one. If I didn't know they were, what do you call it?
The Trillium number, I believe it goes up. Yep.
What's the word I'm looking
Numerical.
for? Numerical order.
Sequential.
I was looking for a different word. These are all work though. Franco, is it Jay Franco? Franco says, I see a lot of people who do a U-turn on a red light. Is this allowed? I have no idea where anyone would get the impression that they could do this. I see it all the time. I don't understand it. Maybe in other countries, maybe it's a foreign thing. People have come here and brought a bad habit, or maybe it's just bad habits born here. Whatever the case is, it's not legal.
So you have to stop before the white line on the intersection or crossing the lateral extensions of the sidewalks. As soon as you do that, as soon as you make that movement, done. It's an offense.
100%. Radek says, good morning. I use free apps on my mounted phone with full screen animated video ads. Could I get a ticket for this? It's a screen visible to driver.
Yep.
The deal is that if you, the free app, the only apps that you can use that are visible to your screen are like the background music that's just a photo of the album art. Like you can do that, but you're better off to lock the screen and be in the lock screen where you can still, you can't even touch the screen to change your music. So closing or locking, having the lock screen displayed is the best one.
Yep.
The other and only option is to have the navigation software open, but you can't touch it. You can't enter information. You can't interact with it. Those are the two things. Now, when you're in the lock screen and the phone rings, you are permitted, according to law, the momentary touch to answer, momentary touch to end. That is all.
What he said.
Does Toronto Police have jurisdiction at the international airport at Pearson? That is technically Peel. That's their area. They deal with
their area of responsibility.
Yes.
Do we have jurisdiction?
We are police officers in the entire province of Ontario, and if called to work there, we can work there.
24/7, working or not working.
Yep.
We can go anywhere, and we have the full powers of a police officer anywhere. Do we stop cars on the 401? All the time.
Mm-hmm.
Are we paid to do that? Is that our responsibility? No. But you know what? You can't let something happen in front of you and not deal with it.
Yeah, we are obligated to act as police officers. So we are police officers from the time we are sworn in until we quit or retire. We do not. So 24/7, we're cops. It's not like we go home, we put the badge on the credenza, and we don't have the responsibility of a police officer. In fact, we could be subject to charges under the Police Services Act if we were to see something and not act in the capacity. It is a lot of responsibility. True.
And depending on the investigations we're doing, we may actually be sworn in as police officers in other provinces or other countries, depending on if we're going to go testify down there, if we're going to what we're doing down there, if we're making arrests down there. Absolutely. I know our cyber crimes individuals, child exploitation individuals, they get sworn in for multiple jurisdictions because they're dealing and investigating crimes that
International.
happen in multiple jurisdictions.
Yeah, different responsibilities, special units, all sorts of cool stuff.
Yep.
Dude the Record Man has a great username. Can you make a U-turn on a green light if you are on the turning lane, but the turning lane has a red light? And the answer is no.
Nope.
That light is for your lane, and you'd be running that light.
There's a specific offense for disobey lane light.
Yes. I see Victoria's dealing with some parking stuff, illegal parking on their street. I would refrain from telling people where you live on the internet, frankly, at least in open chats. That's good for DM. But I don't know what's going on with your parking situation. We do have a parking channel on TikTok if you're interested. We also have a parking person who is on Twitter and Instagram, and that would be Erin Urquhart. She is TPS_bikeheart, if you'd like to find her. And she answers questions there too. And occasionally she jumps on our live streams.
She does.
It's true. I'm an oversized truck driver. I'm an oversized police officer. Are there any?
Aren't we all?
Are there any laws that protect my escorts if they are blatantly disobeyed?
So an escort, no. There are new laws this year having to do with snow plows, and they brought that in because the government identified that there is a problem with people trying to pass snow plows, making it unsafe. I honestly believe that eventually your escorts
Will eventually be covered.
Right now, they are not, and they are subject to all the Highway Traffic Act offenses. So if they're driving in a manner that makes themselves unsafe, they can get pulled over.
Yes. It is important to note that people do some really wild things. That's why we used to do all those escorts. That was a police function originally. So be careful out there.
They're there for safety. They're there to show people what's happening, where they should and shouldn't be driving. They play an important role in getting stuff moved around the province and around the country. Don't disobey them. They know what they're doing. They are professionals. If you do, depending on the situation, you could be charged for something different. Could be careless driving. Could be dangerous driving.
Completely off topic. Apparently, Corona is in Toronto and Brampton again. Are we talking about the beverage? And they update to say Corona beer has always been available here. I guess we're talking about something else. I don't.
Coronavirus?
Oh, that Corona. That makes sense. I don't know why I immediately
COVID?
went to beer. Yeah. Okay. Because somebody else thought what I was thinking, and they said Corona beer has always been available here.
I got to tell you, it is 10:50 here. It's still too early for beer.
This is true.
Yeah.
But I do you like Corona?
No. No, I honestly don't.
I don't mind. It's a light beer. If I was traveling, I don't drink anything anymore. But I didn't mind Corona.
It's just like water.
It's water.
Yeah.
Okay. If a motorist enters a pedestrian's right of way when turning right on a red, can the pedestrian kick the car? It's interesting that on the side here it's a red car, but when it goes on screen it's a white car. Interesting. The deal is that no, people can't kick the car. That doesn't make it, but you should not be entering the right of way either. So if it was a response to almost being hit and maybe they pushed off the car to avoid being run over, I don't know. This is not, no one should be hitting your car, but you shouldn't be cutting them off.
So that being said, though, a car can enter the pedestrian crosswalk before you, and you have the obligation not to go out if the car is already there. So just because they're blocking you and you want to walk that way, no, you can't kick it. You can't walk over top of it.
Have you seen the video? You must have seen the videos.
I've seen the videos.
Guy opens the door to a convertible, walks in, steps over the driver, and out the door. I mean, ridiculous. Obviously not lawful. But that's something that people don't understand. They are under the impression that pedestrians always have the right of way, and that is not the case. Which I love telling people, because pedestrians tend to really mess with traffic. Not all of them, but I try making a left turn on a street that isn't controlled by an intersection automated signal, and one person's about to get off the road, you're about to go, and then 5 other pedestrians decide, oh, it's my turn.
But that's okay. If the roadway is clear and you haven't entered the intersection yet, the pedestrians will have the right of way. But if you're already traveling through the intersection, you've already entered it, it's clear, then the pedestrian cannot step out in front of you.
But they don't know
They
that.
can. Well, they will after they go thump.
Bad things. Doesn't make it okay to hit them, though. Do you believe police departments are understaffed?
Have a look around. Have a look around at all the offenders that are out there, not only traffic, have a look around and see what our crime stats are. Have a look at what our murder stats are. If we could be everywhere to help everybody all the time, we would. But that's a balance. It really is. Do I think we're understaffed?
Yeah, I think we are.
I do.
And I recently heard an interview. I think it was the Solicitor General, and forgive me if I'm incorrect. They were on a podcast I listened to yesterday, and they talked about staffing. And for the size of Toronto, we are understaffed.
Oh,
like
by a long shot.
Because
but
with population
relatively,
down,
when you compare it to other cities, we're still pretty safe.
Yes,
for the most part.
And considering we're the second largest police service in Canada, right? Second largest municipal or second largest police service?
We're the second largest in Canada. So the RCMP is bigger.
Yes.
And then us, then the OPP.
So if we're the second largest and we're just the city of Toronto, I think it's either, we're the largest municipal, second largest police service. That's, I think, the deal.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got titles. We're first and second place. It's pretty cool, but still understaffed. And things cost money. That's the crux of it. And people need to know where to apply to become a police officer if they'd like to help us with our staffing issues.
What a segue.
What a perfect opportunity to talk about the fact that we are seeking applicants as our police services across Canada and the United States. Apparently, not everybody wants to put on a uniform and put themselves in harm's way to protect the community. And it is a sacrifice. It's a life of service. People don't seem to think it's that, but it truly is. You know when you're getting up and you're going to work, but you don't necessarily know when you're coming home or if you're coming home, which puts people in a situation where, like, maybe working in a nice office job is better for some people. Certainly less stress. If you're looking to become a police officer, all the information you ever want to know and more can be found at www.tps.ca/careers. Hey, I can put that up on screen because I have a thing. Hey, there it is. Now, it's not just police officers that we're hiring. We also hire special constables, parking enforcement officers, and communications operators. We even take volunteers. That's how I started as an auxiliary officer. Then I became a I actually applied to become a parking enforcement officer after I'd been a court officer for a while. I wanted to get out of the courthouse and be on the road with my motorcycle permit. I didn't move over after all, obviously. But there are also civilian roles. Maybe you don't want to be on the road. Maybe you like being indoors, but you still want to contribute to making magic in the city. And that's what these folks do. People who work in civilian roles are the glue and the drive that makes it possible for us to go out and do work in the city. They're the unsung heroes. So here we have a workplace investigator in the Equity, Inclusion, and Human Rights section. It's a civilian role. You can get more information by clicking on civilian roles and clicking on these things. We have an advisor for Indigenous engagement. I don't know what they will be doing, but it sounds cool. Yippee program is a summer program for kids or young persons who live in certain areas and qualify for the position, but it's a good way to get an idea of what the police do and make money in the process. A developer in the digital team, and then a communications operator, which actually has their own section, but still civilian. Anyway, if you're interested in any one of these jobs, I suggest you go to the website, read what the requirements are, and apply, because they will not be there forever. They go up, they go down. There's windows of opportunity, and if you miss the boat, they really does sail away. Okay, we talked about this earlier, but it works to mention. Does Toronto Police have jurisdiction to pull someone over on the 401, even though it's OPP patrolled?
Yep. No, we're not paid to patrol that, but yes, we can anywhere in the province. Again, we're police officers everywhere. We have the authority to do it, even though that's not who pays us and not what our focus is. Interesting. Okay, we'll come back to that. Okay, we'll talk about this. I can put this question up in the meantime. All right.
I've been corrected by you before, so I'm wrong that using a cell phone in your hand or lap is $350 fine. That is correct. It is no longer, I don't think it's ever been $350. It's $615.
I will double check that, but I believe you are correct.
$615, that includes the victim fine surcharge. It carries a 3 demerit point and 3-day suspension on conviction for the first conviction. It is higher. I think it's 7 days. And I don't know if the demerit points may be the same on subsequent convictions. But Stephen, this is specific to Ontario. David had said, yes, that is correct, but David is wrong because it is not correct. But it's certainly a good try. This started out as $125.
Yep, it is a $500 set fine with a total payable of $615. You're absolutely correct.
So it's something people say, well, what do you mean $500 fine? Why is it $615? Victim fine surcharge. That is a fine that goes into a pool for creating a fund for victims of crime. So if you've been the victim of crime, you can actually apply to get money. So let's say you had a broken arm because someone robbed you and you got hurt. You lost work. You could apply to this fund and get paid.
Right. And they take the money from people that are committing offenses. What a great way to
Help people who
give
are
it back.
Yeah.
Maybe the victims of these offenses.
This is interesting. If you can't go over the speed limit, why are there electronic billboards on the highway stating what? Oh, stating slow-moving traffic, keep right. Well, here's a funny one. You know you can go below the posted speed limit? The speed limit is the limit, not the minimum.
Yep.
I know we have, my whole thing is, and I don't drive over the limit unless I'm in a police vehicle in the lawful execution of my duties. I'm big on leading by example, but there are people that say they feel unsafe to do the speed limit because people are right on their tail and they're honking at them and your aggravation and intimidation. Those are bullies. My thing is I don't stay in the left lane. I stay in the right lane. And all those people who are breaking the law pass me on the left. I don't get in their way. I don't want anything to do with them. I wish they were all stopped and charged. But
Well, I was going to say they just self-identify in the left lane for people like me when I'm out there conducting enforcement.
The deal is that if you stay to the right and they take off, they're going to find their own deal. But if you block them, prevent them from doing, they do dangerous things, which is why the OPP is so big on enforcement of people who camp in the left lane. Because the speeder who's going to break the law anyway, well, they now pass on the right. I can't get over how fast some people are going. I am so used to going the speed limit that I no longer think it's slow. Like when I was before becoming a member of the police service, even when I had just started as an auxiliary, people told me, "Oh, everyone's doing 20 over. You got to do 20 over. 20 over, sort of where it is." It's not. It doesn't have to be. What we do, and we all do this 20 over thing, is we make the roads less safe.
Right. And when everybody does it, it seems normal.
And it shouldn't be.
Overall, it's unsafe for you, the person that's doing it, and everybody else.
100%. I'm looking for a couple more to flag, but I see there's a ton of stuff. And we've actually hit the 11 o'clock. And this is the questions that I'm looking at right now were asked, and they're 30 minutes behind. So I wish I could answer all of them. I wish we could be faster, but we talk about things and we get into detail, and that doesn't always work. So if you don't get your question answered today, please come back tomorrow because we're doing it all again. I'm just scrolling through and looking for stuff. I'll put something on the screen in the meantime. And that is there a way to report for cars parked in a no parking zone in front of fire hydrant and parked for longer than 3 hours? So the answer is yes. There's a portal on tps.ca for reporting local and current parking infractions, and that will go to a parking enforcement officer who will be issued a direction to go there. Now, they may not be there when the officer gets there, so it doesn't always result in a charge, but it does notify them and put it on their radar. Let's see here. Ryan, who is Thin White Line Interceptor, says, drive safely today, folks. It's getting dicey in the GTA. Is that icy or dicey or both?
Could be both. Yep, we're expecting some weather coming in. Slow down, create more room, drive to the conditions and you're comfortable with.
One of the best things you can do as a driver is slowing down. You buy yourself time. It's the only time that you can get more time, because the faster you go, the less response time you get to deal with changes in your immediate future. You just can't undo it once you're in it, and slowing down is your best way to respond. In fact, if you're ever interested in looking at some great videos, go on YouTube and search TAC. It's the Traffic Accident Commission. It's in Australia, and they produce some of the best videos when it comes to traffic safety. They don't do any of this warm and fuzzy. They show people flying through the air, and they talk about the real serious nature of collisions where people get hurt.
Because that's actually what happens. It doesn't look pretty, but that's actually what happens.
So they say, they did a great campaign called Take 5 or Wipe 5 Off. Just, the difference between 65 and 60 kilometers an hour could be the difference between life and death. And it's the reason we've reduced collisions, or speeds, I should say, from 60 to 50 and 50 to 40, because in the end, from 40 to 30 in some places, because if you hit a pedestrian at those speeds, at the lower speeds, the likelihood of them surviving go up dramatically, which is what we want. We want people to live.
I do have to.
You got to go?
I do have to take off because I've got a I have somebody out of the pounds right now investigating a truck and a trailer that we need to chat about. So
Okay, well, you do your thing. I'll wrap up here in a very few minutes. In minutes that are few. I'm going to try and wrap up. I want to just scroll through in case there's somebody who really, really needs to get a question answered. The first one was: is the TPS ever going to make more episodes of On Patrol? It was our version of Cops, and I remember watching it 10 to 15 years ago. I remember bits and pieces of it. I'd love to do that. I would host that. So if anyone watching who's doing is working on a production or has the desire to see Cops come back, I'm your next host. Just saying. It would be awesome. I can't go on the road, but I can talk about it. Okay. Let's see here. No cops to enforce tint laws. Oh, sorry. JD says no cops don't enforce tint law. We do. We absolutely do. It's not our focus. It's not the highest priority, but we absolutely do. What's the law on watching movies while driving? It's absolutely illegal. It's using a handheld entertainment device or having a screen visible to the driver, and it's absolutely illegal. $615 fine, same as using your phone. Let's see here. David says, check my video on TikTok page. I think it would make for a good discussion on the show. If you linked me or mentioned me on it, I'm sort of doing a collection of videos, trying to find good stuff to link with. So I'll check out your stuff. And if I don't find it, just DM me. I do try and respond to all comments and all questions. The only ones I ignore are the ones that are like racist or hateful or things like that. And occasionally we see that. What is the fine for lane splitting? I can't see any law saying you can't. Careless driving, dangerous driving, stunt driving. Those are the three options, any of which, depending on the threshold, that we would be able to articulate in court. So if it's simply something that is not, driving with I can't remember the perfect wording that I want to give you right now, but if it's not careful driving, if you're not driving appropriately, and you're committing more than one offense, you could be careless. If you're doing something that is absolutely going to be like you're not staying in your lane, you're zipping through traffic, it could qualify for stunt. For some reason, the words aren't coming to me today. And of course, if you are absolutely putting lives immediately in risk of the community, you're at the threshold where serious bodily harm or death could be the result of your actions. I think that would make the threshold for dangerous driving, which is criminal. But you're right, there is no lane splitting law. It's actually far more serious than that. If you catch me on my electric longboard going 40, would that be legal? Would that be legal? No, you can't have an electric skateboard on the sidewalk road anywhere in the country or in the province of Ontario, I should say. Absolutely prohibited. That's on private property only. That would be a motor vehicle if you were impaired. It would be a motor vehicle requiring insurance ownership. Like it's just a serious problem. Okay. So drivers are watching movies, but pedestrians have to wear reflective clothing. JD, you're not following what we're saying. Maybe you made that comment prior to us getting to the point. No, pedestrians don't have to do anything, but they increase their odds of being seen if they do. And no, drivers are doing stupid things. It's not legal, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't try to improve your odds. That's what we're saying. But you see, you're on the whole bandwagon of trying to say we're blaming people. We're not. We're trying to increase the odds of survival for everybody. And I am absolutely pro ticketing the extreme level of people who are breaking the law. I'm a no warning kind of person. Okay, let's see here. Hey, it's King 5K. What's going on? If someone makes videos stunt driving, can you seize their car even though you have no reasonable identifiable evidence proving that the car was in the video, nor any evidence who the driver is? Well, based on that, where we don't know who the car, well, how would we know who they are? No, we would have to have factors in the video that would be able to identify the individual, identify the vehicle, time, date, location. We need to be able to identify certain things. But you know what? It starts an investigation. Even if we can't lay the charge, we start building a file, and eventually we start piecing together information. And then who knows? Maybe there's a helicopter hanging around you. Maybe. Seriously. Let's see here. Buy a car DJ. I like that. Okay, Victoria says that they may have spoken to Sergeant Campbell. Cool, who has since left. Fifalina says, I'm a cyclist and I want to buy a hitch mount bike carrier. My understanding is that it is not legal. However, I see Toronto police use it all the time. Any clarification? It's not legal. If it blocks your license plate and the police are actively using it incorrectly, blocking their license plates, and there is no excuse for it. I mean, I have a theory as to why it's done, because no one's figured out that there is a plate relocation kit available to put the license plate on the bike carrier, which would make it legal. And that would be my suggestion for you, is relocate the license plate. Assuming you're going to leave it for an entire season, put it on the back, leave it attached to your vehicle, and have an illuminated license plate on the carrier. That's it. That would make you legal. Do the police do it, and is it not proper? It's not proper. Now, police vehicles have big giant letters on the side and car numbers. It's still an identifiable vehicle, and we're the ones looking for it. So I understand why they likely think it's not a big deal, but it's not right. Okay. Do you have to turn off your brights for cyclists, pedestrians? Is there a law against using bright lights in residential areas? No, it's only about other drivers. Let's see here. We talked about this. Good morning, gents. Have you ever thought of a collaboration with Carrie Schmidt from the OPP? I see Carrie at most major events, so absolutely, we've talked about it. We haven't done it yet, though. I don't think, ever. Maybe. I did take a picture with him in a Corvette at Honda Indy. You can see that on my Instagram. If you go to TrafficCop.ca, you can get links to my Insta, which is, by the way, VoiceOver Cop. Okay. This is funny and silly and incorrect. 1997, Miata says, collect and serve. It's not about collecting money. It's about changing your behavior. If I gave you the option, it's a $300 fine or go to jail for 6 months. Really, I don't care which one you choose. It's to choose an incentive or a negative reinforcement to say, don't do this. Is it negative reinforcement or negative? I don't know. The idea is get you to stop doing stupid stuff. If you do stupid stuff, breaking the law is stupid. That's my opinion. If you keep doing it, how do I get you to stop? I can't just say, please. Doesn't seem to work. If I take $300 out of your pocket, you're probably going to say that sucked. So much so that you make silly hashtag marks. But it's not about collecting. We don't get the money. I don't get a commission. I don't care. I just want you to stop doing it. In fact, I'd prefer you never do it. So my whole idea or reason to be here is to tell people not to break the law, to be safe. I want to influence people to do that. If I'm a police influencer, my influence should be to change behavior. So I want you to keep your money. I want you to have all the cash in the world. I want you to be wealthy. Don't give the money to your government. Not because you don't pay your bills. It's because you don't break the law. It just drives me bananas when people say silly stuff like that. Let's see here. This is also silly. Is it the same person asking it? No. Why do we have to safety our cars when the roads aren't safe for our vehicle? Nonsense. I get it. You got what's it called? Big holes. What is it called? Why am I having a mental block when it comes to potholes? Potholes. Yeah, potholes happen. Roads aren't great. It doesn't make them unsafe. It makes them. Yeah, you might damage your car. By the way, you can go to the city for damage if the road surface causes damage. A friend of mine cracked a rim years ago. He went to the city and he got compensated for the damage to his rims based on driving over a pothole that had not been taken care of. So the city's responsible to some degree. Is having a lowered car illegal? Depends on how low. If it's so low that it creates contact to body or frame with the tire, that is a problem. And it's unsafe when we take your license plates. So yeah, illegal. Also, there is a maximum and a minimum height from the center of your headlights to the ground that is legal. Oh, why phone autocorrect changing my sentences oftenly? I love and hate autocorrect. I dictate messages on a regular basis using Siri, and very often I will start with a message. This message has been written by Siri, and as a result, I cannot guarantee that what I'm saying is what you're reading. And hopefully with that disclaimer, they get it. Depends on how serious a message I'm writing. But I love Siri. Car manufacturers loophole rear tires sticking out by adding pieces that stick out to the fender flare. Yes. So it's still covering it, though. And the fender flare is sufficient. It has to cover it for the purposes of debris and water and prevents people from getting stuck there. What is this? Good morning. Good morning to you, Belby. Is it legal to drive on public roads while wearing a full race helmet just for fun? I will say that helmets could cause problems. You're adding a lot of weight to your neck in the event of a collision that could cause more injury. Even you were having fun until you crashed and then you hurt yourself. You need to have a Hans device when you're wearing a helmet. That prevents the hyperextension of your neck on a collision, which would kill you. That's not good. So, yeah, Hans device, tethered, like there's a whole bunch of stuff you have to do. I'm not a racer. I'm giving you particles of information acquired from my friends who are professional race people. Yeah, Hans device. This is a good question. If not suspected for drinking, can you be pulled aside during a ride program? Yes, it is a good question. And yes, you can be pulled over. And yes, you can be given a demand under the mandatory alcohol screening in Canada, which means you have to provide a breath sample, and refusal to provide that sample results in the same consequences as though you had blown over, and you'll be charged criminally, and you'll get suspended and all that stuff. We can pull you over. We can have everyone we stop for any offense, even just randomly pulling cars over. We can have every single person provide a breath sample. It's perfectly lawful as long as it is not deemed to be a bias. Like, I'm not pulling you over because I see a person who has long hair. I don't want to use any other example, but if it's not based on how you look or who you are or one of the protected elements, then no, I can pull anybody over. In fact, if I were on the road today, I would do a mandatory alcohol screening test for each and every driver that I pulled over for anything, even if it was just to make sure your insurance was valid. Provide a breath sample. Why not? It's there. Okay. Can I drive with Christmas lights on my roof rack? These are weird things. First of all, you've missed Christmas. But if you're preparing for next year, I appreciate your commitment to Christmas. It depends on what you're projecting, how bright the lights are. Certain colors are certainly not a good idea. Is it distracting? Are we going to give you a hard time about it? I would say that 99% of officers probably wouldn't, but there's always going to be that one. If I have a uniform shirt without patches or a badge on it, can I get into trouble for wearing it in public? So you have a blue shirt that has no patches and no police markings, and it's just a blue shirt? Because that's what this is. It's a dark, or it's a navy blue shirt. It doesn't say police on it. The only thing are the patches and the name tag and the epaulets. And if it has none of those things, it's not a police shirt anymore. So you wouldn't get in trouble. If it says police on it, you could have a problem. Oh gosh. Glenn Biggs says, what do you do when a car brake check a transport? Next time I'm not stopping, I'll go over the car. Frankly, by hammering the brakes to avoid the collision with the nincompoop who brake checked you, you'd be putting others at risk. It would be, in my opinion, safer for you to rear-end that person. I mean, if you can avoid a collision, avoid a collision. But hopefully you have a dash camera. That person that brake checked you could be criminally liable. Brake checking is obviously dangerous. It's stunt driving, and it could meet the threshold, especially with a transport truck, of dangerous driving. So, yeah, you do what you can do as safely as you can, but putting others at risk by jackknifing while you're trying to avoid colliding with the idiot who brake checked you, yeah, I would be investigating that person and laying charges, because hopefully you have a dash cam. What is this? Limelight has questions about protests. I don't talk about protests. That's not my area. This is a traffic channel, and I appreciate that protests are interfering with traffic, but not appropriate for us to discuss here. Let's see here. What is the threshold for you to be able to act on a report of street racing? For example, someone reports racing but has no license plate. Would you still be able to check it out or leave? If we had something that was going on now, we would send vehicles in a priority situation looking for that looking to make arrests in that environment, because that's stunt driving, which is an arrestable offense and possibly criminal dangerous. So absolutely, it would be an immediate situation where life is at risk. Elvidge says, can I use my cell phone while operating a snowmobile? I don't know. I don't know. And that's a Sergeant Campbell thing. I just don't know anything about snowmobiles, and I don't want to give you incorrect information. I would say it's a bad idea. Safety-wise, it's not a good idea. Thus, it's a bad idea. What is the legal headlight heights on lifted trucks? You'd have to look at I don't remember it offhand at all, in fact. I just know it exists. It's if you Google the light truck and passenger vehicle inspection guide, you'll find the specs there. Oh, okay. 4 out of 5 says, should people stop making left from University to Queen and wait until Queen light goes green? No, you don't stop in the middle of the intersection. That left turn is not. You don't wait. You're not in the middle of the intersection now, subject to the lights in the intersection. You have to complete your turn. What if I had my phone mounted to the dash and I answered the video call? Can I be charged for it? Yeah, your screen is active. You have a screen visible to driver, $615 fine. Will you start enforcing delivery bikes on sidewalks? It's already being done as a project in 52 Division. Absolutely, we're doing it. We, I should say, are not doing it. Traffic Services, that's not our function. That's a divisional traffic function or a divisional policing function. We investigate collisions. We investigate big stuff and speed and all that. We don't do bicycle stuff often. If we see it, we'll do it, but it's not our focus. My van parked in my driveway. Van bamber, little bit on walkway. I received tickets. Bumper. That's to decode some of these things. If you are parked and you are encroaching on the sidewalk, you are breaking the law, and yes, you are eligible for tickets. JD says, all these questions make me want to take the bus. I don't blame you. When you buy a new vehicle, can you use your old plates to drive it home or the DMV? So DMV suggests you might be in the United States. I don't know what the rules are there. In Ontario, if you have plates that are not attached, I don't mean physically, I mean on paper attached, registered to a vehicle, so they have an unattached status, then you could use those plates. If you had vehicle insurance on the new vehicle, you could use those plates to drive it home or to get it where you have to go. Unsolved Mystery says, answer YouTube questions, please. I'm seeing a lot of TikTok stuff. I'm not seeing a lot of questions from YouTube, frankly. I see some Facebook. Scrolling. I see a YouTube question. See, here's Brandon. On the way home yesterday, the person next to me playing Nintendo Switch while driving. Are you kidding me, Brandon? Really? That's wild. Yeah, if you were the passenger, I would have taken a picture and put that on social media because I would have loved to have seen that. That's gross. I just got a Nintendo Switch for my kids, though, and we are having a lot of fun playing games. I am a fan. I didn't think I'd be a fan. I'm a fan. I'm playing, what is that? Zelda. Yeah. Very cool. I didn't think it would be cool. Okay. Talked about this. Is touching an Apple CarPlay head unit to navigate music apps different from touching a phone? So this is what we're getting into things. If it's not the actual phone and it's CarPlay, that's the only thing you're getting, and it's permanently mounted in a car or it's part of your dashboard, I would say it's okay. Sergeant Campbell was saying if you took an iPad and mounted it permanently to your dashboard, it wouldn't be okay. So we have a difference of opinion to some degree, but I appreciate what he's saying and the way he phrased it. I rethought my take on it. Whereas if you had a CarPlay head, being it's a dedicated device that only works in CarPlay mode, I think you'd be okay. Permanently mounted. Are white light under a vehicle illegal? If that white light is visible from the rear of the vehicle, then yes. TF, and I think I know what they're saying. You doing on a podcast, go do your jobs. Well, listen, genius, this is my job. I'm a media relations officer, social media officer. I do education about traffic safety, traffic law, and stuff and things. If you don't like it, you're welcome to scroll on. But this is a useful thing that has, well, it's official. If you look around, there's a studio here. Can you believe that? They made a studio? Yeah, we have a studio. It's because this is good and valuable things that we do. But I appreciate that you don't like it. I also would like to encourage you not to be here. Okay. Hi, is speed cameras working for both sides of the road or just one way? Please and thank you. My understanding is it's just the one way. That's my understanding. We don't actually control it. It's nothing to do with us. It's the city of Toronto, not the police that operate them. So I don't know for certain, but that's my understanding. Okay. Oh, same user. He says, first responders doing podcasts, laughing their tushy off. Suggesting that we deal with stuff on the, what is this? TTC. Yeah, there's units for that. That's not what this office is. This is this is a different office. We have a lot of police officers. They do different jobs. Thomas Finch wants to know if you can message us questions or if they can message me questions. And the answer is yes. If you go to TrafficCop.ca, you can go to a form that will send an email. You can also DM me, but the form will get to me faster than a DM because I get hundreds of messages a day. hundreds of comments, hundreds of messages. I do my best to answer them all. Doesn't always happen in one day, but I get to it. If I am a G1 driver, can my grandma or brother accompany me, or is it an insurance question? As long as they are a G-class license, they have less than 0.5 BAC, which is blood alcohol content, they have to be legally able to drive, then they can. They have to be an actual G-class driver with 4 years experience, and they have to be sober. Then they can supervise you, even if it's not their car. Nathan wants to know about delivery drivers, FedEx, UPS, Purolator allowed to smoke in the truck. Nope, it's their workplace. Smoke-Free Ontario Act protects the workplace, says no. What are the new snowplow laws? Woodell Engineering, what's going on, my friend? The deal with snowplow laws is this. If there are 2 or more snowplows working in echelon, which is where they offset and side by side to carry snow from lane 1 to 2 to 3 to the side, you cannot pass them if the snowplow is occupying any portion of a lane. So if there were only 2 and the lane 1 was clear, safe and clear, you could technically pass them safely. If they had any part of the blade, anything in that lane, you are not allowed to. And then you'd be eligible for tickets. But why would you want to go ahead of them? They are plowing to make it safe. Yeah, they might be going slower. Chances are they are, because it's about safety. Passing them puts you in a situation where it's not plowed, not salted, and you're at risk. And those plows are unforgiving. Okay. Oh, what is the ticket when someone is not having a front license plate? Because I've seen so many people without it. The answer is $110. Yes. Are steering wheel knobs legal to drive with Ontario? Matt wants to know. The answer is there's no law that prohibits them specifically. They are assistance devices for people who have accessibility issues. Maybe they have one hand or arm and they need something to allow them to do it. So it's not illegal. There are courses to use them properly for people who are using modified vehicles, but I've never seen a charge that would be appropriate to lay. So I would say it has to be legal based on that. They used to be standard in like a standard thing in cars made in the 50s, like, that had no power steering and you had this giant wheel and you had to get around. I don't see the purpose now, and I certainly don't think it's a good idea personally, but, I've thought about it. I wanted one when I was in high school. Okay. Talked about this already. Can you avoid paying a parking ticket? Not once it's issued, but you can avoid getting a parking ticket by not parking illegally. This is a really good question. Why is a child allowed to be without a car seat in a taxi? Would this apply to a friend's car as well? No. Taxis and buses, specifically buses, have an exemption. You can permit, or you can travel in a taxi or a bus without a child car seat, even though every other vehicle requires one. Why? Because let's say someone's got to go. Maybe there's an abusive situation. Maybe they're caught in a snowstorm or a tornado. They got to be able to go somewhere, and for the protection of everyone, like protection of the kid. You can't let them just sit there and say, no, you have to walk 7 miles. I think that's the spirit behind it. Your friend's car, no. You have a professional driver in the taxi, some might argue, but professional driver in the taxi and the bus, it's a lower risk situation, supposedly. But it's because there has to be one way to get out of a situation. And people don't generally walk around with car seats. They might. They might not. It's better if you have it. But that's it. So people get upset because rideshare is not included in that, because a rideshare is just your friend's car. Okay. Talked about this. I'm going overtime because I value you and the questions you ask. That's the truth. I just want to try and get everyone's stuff within reason answered. Okay. Can I have an LED sign in my window of my car when I drive? Depends. I don't think it's a good idea. I see billboard trucks. I'd argue that that's not legal, but I've never dealt with them myself. Okay. We covered the Nintendo Switch. Does the pedestrian only have the right of way when there's a walk signal? If the walk signal is lit and they're legally on the roadway, they have the right of way. And obviously, when the lights are flashing, there's requirements for the vehicle to do certain things. But it doesn't matter about right of way. You can be right and not paying attention and end up smacked by a car. That's bad. even though legally you're right. So always assume that the car is doing bonehead things and just be cautious. This is where tint comes in. Eye contact, important. Make sure you're sure that everyone's stopping. I like to wait for the first, even when I'm directing traffic. If I'm out there directing traffic, I don't assume that the first car is going to stop just because I put my hand up. I wait until that first car, they're my control. I wait for them to stop, and then I know that they're stopped, and I keep doing things. Can I remove the doors off my car if a Jeep? Why can't I? Oh, so can you take the doors off a car? Because a Jeep can do it, so why can't they with their not Jeep? Well, that vehicle's designed to have the doors off. Your car may not have been. Bronco and Jeep, I think, are the only two that currently have removable doors. Those are the ones that I would not have a problem with. I would investigate anybody who took the doors off their Mercedes. Just saying. Okay. Boy, that user who wants to know about grandma asked it a lot of times here. Is there an age limit to becoming a police officer? I'm 32 and in okay shape. Would be worth it to apply at my age. Absolutely, Corey. 100%. I was 38 when I became a police officer. Prior to that, I had been a court officer and an auxiliary officer for 14 years. So, yeah, I started with the service when I was 25, but I had someone in my class that was 50. So you are not old. In fact, 32 is the perfect age to become a police officer. Absolutely perfect. Chase says, I think OPP is bigger, employs more than 5,800 uniformed officers, 600 auxiliary officers, 2,600 civilian employees. I'd have to look at the stats, but I was under the impression that we were the biggest. Can we find out? Well, I'll let you find out. If you're saying it, I assume you did the research. Maybe they are biggest now. Maybe they weren't at one point, and now they've taken the title. It stinks. It's not a competition. It doesn't matter. Okay. Jess Tech is really on about this door thing. Okay. Can international student be a student in Canada? If you have the permits, if you have the visas to come here, and then yes, international people can be students in Canada, thus making them international students. But that's an education thing that's so far removed from traffic questions that I don't have any good information for you. But I know, having watched the Border Patrol television series, that you need the appropriate visas that have to be applied for while you're at your home country. Okay. And yes, slow Mazda, hood on car requirement. Okay. Scrolling, lots of duplication here. Oh, Jess Tech says I was lying because he doesn't see rules on it. Go read the light truck and passenger vehicle inspection guide. I believe that you must have a hood. It's all the stuff. If you can't get certified, if you can't get certified without one, you can't drive without one. Jess wants to know if they can have a nitrous tank in their trunk. You can have a tank, but it can't be connected to your nitrous system. If it's full, it can't be connected. If it's empty, it can be connected. You cannot have nitrous on the road. It cannot be in a deployable state. Okay. Okay, moving on. Lots of back and forth. Q says hi. I see the compliment of the media scrum. Cool. Do you have bacon? Do you need bacon? None here. I don't know which dig you're going for, but it's entertaining. Okay. Jess Tech. Why don't we raise the speed limit 20 over? Because modern cars are pretty safe. Because modern drivers are less safe. And the speed limit being raised would just make people go faster. See, if people do 20 over now on average, you raise it 20, then people will go 40 over the current speed, making it 20 over the new speed. It's just a bad idea. Slower is safer. We don't need people to go faster. It's a bad idea. Also, we go to the lowest common denominator. There are cars from the 70s who are on the road now. They're not safer. If you suspect someone on social media stunt driving, but have no proving evidence, can you seize the car? Not based on the information. If we don't have the elements required, then no. Can Peel Police ticket on 400 serious highways? Absolutely. And then, boom, boom, boom. Now I'm just looking for the highlights here. Victoria says, have a safe and wonderful day. Thank you to you too. What was that YouTube thing? I don't know what we're talking about. Is it illegal to go into the intersection when you have an emergency vehicle behind? Yes, unless you're making the legal right turn, as you are permitted to do anytime, as long as you come to a stop before the line and then make a right turn, then you can't. And we know that. And I've recently watched emergency vehicles turn off their lights and wait for the light to turn green if they didn't plan properly, because they should have gone into oncoming traffic. Annabella, much love from Ukraine, and right back at you. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for saying hello. We're again an international episode because you've graced us with your presence. Jestek says, how come Harleys can have a loud exhaust but cars can't? Well, Harleys can't either. Nobody can. There's limits. In fact, in the city of Toronto in particular, we have a bylaw that says you can't produce more than 92 decibels at idle. It's a $500 fine. So no. And that doesn't apply to cars. That's specific to motorcycles. Yeah. We have a Xenon who wants to know, can you clarify about passing on a double lane? I think you mean line. In the province of Ontario, it is legal to cross lines. Lines on the road do not matter. Only signs that are dictating activity. So if the line says do not cross the line or you cannot pass, that is a sign that is regulated and that has authority, but the painted line doesn't. So if you were to, they clarify line. So if you cross the line, double or single or otherwise, and you cause a collision, you're responsible for it. Well, the line's warned you. That just helps our evidence against you. But it's not a ticket for just crossing. So if you were to cross the line and safely complete a maneuver, you'd be lawful. If you go 300 kilometers an hour with 4 people in the car, can you get attempted murder charges and criminal reckless endangerment even if you don't crash? You can get dangerous operation offenses, which are criminal, just on speed. 300 kilometers an hour, I would absolutely arrest the driver all day long, regardless of passengers, but it would help to the evidence that they put those lives at risk. I hit a car a few weeks ago. What would happen if I left the scene before the cops showed up? Did you exchange information? Did you do what your obligations are? Like, you don't necessarily, depending on the situation, you could have failed. You could be looking at charges or not, depending on what happened there. So I need more information. Bobby says you should give more warnings. Why? People don't seem to learn from warnings. Some do, but then those people probably didn't need a warning because they already felt bad. But it depends. I've given lots of warnings for minor offenses, but for major and dangerous offenses, warnings aren't going to cut it. I want to document what you did more than just say, don't do it again. I want to make sure that you lose points on your license, so if you continue that kind of activity, that you lose your license. I don't want you on our roads if you're dangerous. Lane splitting should be legal. No, I disagree. It's dangerous. Even in places like Los Angeles or California where it's legal, their police services say it's dangerous. It's legal, but it's dangerous. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Lots of discussion here about, is it? I love having tint easy use of my phone. One of the reasons why tint is illegal. But I appreciate you bringing it up because that is exactly why it's illegal, or one of the reasons. Seatbelt, alcohol, cell phone use. Yeah. If the city I live in does the sidewalks and the person slips on the ice, can a person go after the city? That would be a good question for a lawyer, but that sounds like a liability problem for them. Okay, we talked about this. God. One car, was this? One car wants to turn right opposite lane, wants to turn left. Who's right away? Right turn right away. Why are people using light bars on the highway? Because they're breaking the law. I got pulled over for wearing a horse mask, so I don't think a race helmet is okay. Horse mask is a visibility situation. If you are wearing a helmet or a ski mask that does not prohibit involve blocking your vision, it's legal. The horse mask is not legal because it prevents you from seeing. That you should have figured out. Okay. My license plate says, will run, will you chase me? We caught the will run guy. A cop friend told me ride checks are an excuse to pull over usual suspects. I don't know what they mean. We pull over people to check to see if they're impaired. If they're not impaired, they move on. Simple as that. Lucas says, I'm pretty sure that underglow is illegal if it's blue and red, but otherwise color is okay. Blue and red, absolutely not legal. But the biggest thing is where you're projecting the light. If it's to the ground only and it is not reflecting forward, back, or to the sides, you're not going to have many problems. If you're projecting light that is not appropriate color to the front or back, it's against the law. Okay, I think we're good. I think we've covered it. Paul Noble says, good morning. It's still morning. Hello. My car got towed away from my driveway because it was not insured. Really? Like where? In Ontario? We don't tow for insurance. Like Ontario doesn't tow for insurance. Unplated on the street, maybe, possibly. I scrapped my old car at a junkyard. Do I need to visit? Yeah, you should definitely be telling them to take it off of your ownership because someone could buy it from the junkyard, drive it around, and if it got, if they fixed it and put it on the road and then it got towed and impounded, you're responsible for the vehicle. If the ministry doesn't know who owns it, they'll think it's still you. Okay. Pookie Wookie says, hello, officer. Hello back. Okay, new video, scrolling through. Toronto Police hiring, we're always hiring. I shouldn't say that. We weren't always hiring. We are currently in a hiring mood, and because there's a need for police officers across the province. And the province has paid for or is paying for the education at the Ontario Police College, which is $15,000. They are covering that cost for another 2 years, I believe. I think they did it last year was the first time. I think 2 more years is what they've agreed to. I had to pay like $10,000 or something like that when I went through. So that's a signing bonus if I've ever heard one. I have a G license experience 8 months and Indian experience 10 years added in G. Can I teach to drive my bro? Teach drive to my bro. The deal is that if you have the 4 dots in the bottom left-hand or right-hand corner, just left of your mini-me photo, that signifies an accredited 4 years experience. So if you have a full G with according to the ministry, more than 4 years, then yes, you could drive or supervise as a G-class driver, a G1 driver. Let's see here. Scrolling. Is a car from factory loud valid? If it's too loud based on driver behavior, it's not valid. I doubt it that when you drive it normally, it would be really loud. If it has a switch that allows you to make it louder or quieter, making it louder makes it too loud. It all depends. What if anybody keep honking you without reason? They probably have a issue with their horn. Michael says, you're still going at 11:24. Yeah, this is like the super extra long episode today. I don't know why. But there's a lot of activity, so that's what we're here for. How much are you allowed to slow down for train tracks on a country road? I don't think there's any particular maximum or minimum that you must slow down for. I think people go way too slow for train tracks, but it's not like buses have to stop. So there's no speed requirement there. Just make sure you have brake lights at work. Does the car seat rule apply for Uber and Lyft? I am talking about same exception as bus and taxi. No. Uber and Lyft is like having a civilian car, does not get the benefit of that exemption for child safety restraints. You cannot take babies, children that require the appropriate seats. Unsolved Mystery says, what are the charges for driving 325 an hour on the 401? I'd arrest you for criminal dangerous driving. You'd be in handcuffs. And I'd charge you for stunt. And I'd charge you for everything. If collision happened and you call police and they told you to report collision center, any demerits? Usually not. Usually there won't be any charges as a result of collision report. Doesn't mean it won't. It just usually not. And if they do charge you, then it would. Scrolling. Ratch says, you don't even look 38 now. I'm not 38 now. I've been a police officer. That's when I got on as a police officer, I think. Okay. Okay, I got to scroll down faster. I got to get to the end of this. A huge list. I can't get over how many people have been participating. Thanks for everyone for all the engagement. Can I put on wings and a jet engine on my car? I think that means you make it into a plane. It would be interesting to watch on YouTube. All right. Can police escort you if no ambulance is available? Could they? Could they choose to do that? I suppose they could. Would we? Not in Toronto. We're not taking on that liability. If it was really a situation, we might transport you ourselves, which is unlikely, but I would sooner put you in my car than try and have you drive behind me. Why? I'm a professional driver, and I've got lights and sirens, and I'm responsible for me. If I'm driving as an escort, I'm responsible for you too, which has a higher chance of you not making it, having a problem at speed, and causing a collision, hurting yourself or others, and never getting to the hospital. So something we talk about on a regular basis in policing is something called guaranteed arrival. We don't want to speed. We don't want to go faster than we have to do the job that needs to be done. So we're going to be as safe as we can, because if we don't get there, we're of no help to anybody. And if we crash, we become the next victim or patient that needs assistance, meaning more services need to be rolled out to deal with us. So no, chances are we're not doing that. What we would do, if you needed if I pulled you over and you needed medical assistance, is I would render first aid while calling for help, and we'd probably transport you into the ambulance. Would be our number one choice. Fire department would come. Everyone would help. Scott says, just wanted to say thanks for your time and information here. Learned a lot from your live cast. Thanks so much. I really do appreciate the feedback. G1 drivers can have as many passengers as long as they are in seatbelts. Valencia, you're absolutely correct. There's no restriction, but they can't drive between midnight and 5 a.m. That is something many people don't know. Okay. JB Film says, thank you for your service in keeping everyone safe. I can't take the credit for keeping people safe. I talk about education, I talk about information and stuff and things. The folks that are on the front lines, on the roads, I'm wearing a uniform, but I am behind the scenes now. I'm no longer on the road. But the folks that go out and brave the cold and put their lives at risk every day, they don't get the appreciation they deserve. So thank you, and I pass it along. Hopefully they'll see this. Why do I need a G-Class license to drive a Zamboni? I have no idea. Maybe they want you to be a responsible driver before they let you have a very expensive piece of equipment. Is it legal to drive with no license? Obviously not. Let's see here. Have you had to deal with sovereign citizens? I've dealt with them, like not the initial officer. I've never been the subject officer dealing with someone there. Dealt with them as a court officer. I've dealt with them as a second officer. It's always interesting to see the fantasies that are shared. And I mean that by like talking about laws that don't exist or are biblical. Okay. How to ask a question. You just did. Unfortunately, it was just such a, I mean, this question was asked at 11:35. We're actually only 15 minutes behind, but there's a lot of stuff that's coming up. So I'm going to cut off the live before 12 because normally we're an hour long. Sometimes we're an hour and a half. Hour and 47 minutes? This is a long one. Okay. Is it illegal to post dash cam online of a truck theft? Not that I'm aware of. Now, could it hurt evidentiary? I would talk to a police officer. If there's an investigation, you might hurt the evidence. Do we control snowplays? No. Like, do we call the schools and say we're not running? You're not running buses because it's too dangerous? No, we have nothing to do with that. Is it legal to present a photocopy of your ownership to a police officer? Yes. In Ontario, if you have an original or a true copy, which is both sides of your ownership document, that is acceptable. But your original driver's license is required, and either an original or a electronic version of your insurance proof provided by way of a secure app from your provider. Is it legal to pass in the right lane? It really depends on what you're talking about passing. If you're talking about you're on a 2-lane road and the person in front of you slows and is going to make a left turn, then you could, if the shoulder is paved, pass safely on the right. Not at full speed, slow down, pass safely on the right. If you're talking about on a multi-lane highway, you are able to overtake on the right, not as a big passing maneuver, not a dangerous maneuver, but just because each lane is its own lane. If I'm an Uber driver, I have to touch my mobile phone while driving sometimes. What are the laws for us? You are not someone who has to touch your mobile phone. You're choosing to touch your mobile phone to get a job. You're not legal doing that. You cannot touch the phone. You have to pull over, be legally parked, and then you can touch the phone. There's no special benefit for being an Uber driver. Can plates be run for any reason? Yes. We're searching to make sure you're licensed, insured, attached to the appropriate status, especially now, because we don't even have stickers to show that it's valid. We have to check the status of your license. Absolutely. Food delivery drivers touch their phone all the time. This should be addressed. Not at all safe. You're absolutely correct. It's not legal either. Who has the right of way? Person turning right or left through an intersection. If you're crossing across other traffic, you're at a higher risk point. The person making the right is in the right of way situation. Why do you a front license plate in Ontario, but other provinces don't require? Every province has their own rules and regulations. We require it. We want twice as many chances to identify a vehicle than we would have if we had only one plate. That's pretty much the answer. They were talking about getting rid of it, and they might eventually get rid of it. Can I drive my friend's car? I don't have my insurance. The car has to be insured in the province of Ontario, not the driver. Now, if you live in the same house as the person who you want to drive their car, the insurance company may require you to be on the policy. Maddie says, good morning to you. Almost good afternoon. Front license, what is this? Okay. Robbie Bobby says, you're the best. Love your lives. Please keep them up. Long live your podcast. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Maddie says again, good morning. Scrolling down. Uber drivers, food delivery are dangerous using their phones. The problem is anyone using your phone is dangerous. And police who are permitted legally to use their communication devices, we acknowledge that it's dangerous. But the priority is public safety, and communicating for the purposes of public safety is a priority, so we make a calculated effort. We still prefer to pull over, but sometimes it's not an option. This person says, I've asked the same question 10 times and it's been ignored every time. If you ask something 10 times and we're ignoring you, you're not getting the hint. Well, actually, I probably missed the first one, and I don't think you asked 10 times. But let's say you did. It's either a question that we've somehow was invisible or it's something that we're not talking about. We don't do political stuff if you're talking about that. It may have been automatically filtered if it was rude. But please don't ask things 10 times. It just makes it harder for us to find actual questions, so we just scroll past. Okay. Scrolling. I got a ticket 8 months ago and still haven't gotten a court date. Should I be worried and keep waiting? I'd contact the courts. You can find out saying you have not received anything and you are finding out status. Make sure they got it. What is the fine if I don't have my driver's license on my person? $110 under the HTA. That includes the victim fine surcharge. If you don't have your ownership, it's $110. If you don't have your insurance, it's $65. Different provinces may have different prices. It's Dave, and he wants to know if he has to make questions somewhere else. No, this is actually a place we see it. Just takes a while. It's lag. It's just I speak longer than it takes for you to type a question, and there's so many. So it's 11:52, and these questions were asked at 11:45. Dave says, "I'm thinking you're live elsewhere other than TikTok." No, we're here. We're on all the platforms. We are currently on a whole bunch of places. We are broadcasting on YouTube. So aside from TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Kick, and Twitter. So we're everywhere. And after the show, you'll be able to download on podcast platforms whatever the show was, so you could play it again. Jess says, "Thank you for answering my questions. It's appreciated. Anytime. That's what we're here for." Jay says, "The insurance issue or G-Class license is for insurance purposes." That makes sense. The question was, why do you have to have a G to drive a Zamboni? I have no idea, but apparently it's for insurance. Can you quickly look at your phone when a text comes in? Technically, no. Now, you have it mounted and it comes up and you don't touch the phone and you glance. It's illegal. Will you? Are you taking your eyes off the road? Could you cause a collision? You could. Will you get caught? Unlikely. Kins wants to know, what are the rules around teens driving passengers' hours? So a G1 driver who needs to be supervised by a G-Class driver with 4 years experience can drive anywhere that does not have a speed limit of 80 or above 80. So you can be on Highway 7, but you can't be on the 407. Now, when it comes to 12 and 5, you cannot drive. When it's G2, you can drive anytime, anywhere, but there are conditions as to how many people under the age of 20 you can have in your motor vehicle between the hours of midnight and 5 a.m. So that is one person in the first 6 months and up to 3 people in the second 6 months between the hours of 12 and 5, but it doesn't include members of your immediate family. I think that covers your question. Let me know if I missed something. Okay. Someone honking at you for driving the speed limit. Yes, if someone is honking at you for driving the speed limit, they are driving too fast. Yes, and if they're having a bad day because of that, too bad. I don't care. If you're doing the right thing, I support you. If you're breaking the law, I don't. Becca says, thanks for answering their question. You're welcome. I don't remember what the question was because I'm sort of scanning here too quickly. But we're back tomorrow. If you got more questions, come on back. Can a truck driver use a CB radio while driving? I was once upon a time saying no. However, it's been brought to my attention, I verified it, that there's exemptions for certain things, and that includes commercial drivers for two-way radios. How are these questions being asked? You mean like the question you just asked? You just asked it. It's comments. Is it illegal to have a radar detector in a regular car? In any car, motorcycle, truck, it's illegal in the province of Ontario to buy, sell, possess, use a radar detector or jammer or laser detector, anything that prevents police from measuring or enforcing speed laws, measuring your speed or enforcing speed laws. What are the rules on car mods? Depends on what the mod is. There are mods that make your vehicle illegal. There are mods that don't. It really depends on the mod. If you want to know, you could look at the light truck and passenger vehicle inspection guide. That will give you a pretty good idea by checking across what applies to your vehicle. If you change it from outside of those specs, you're no longer legal. Thoughts on your actions? Really, coffee. I need coffee. What actions? How do I check my GPS without access to CarPlay since it's on my phone? What hint is it? Use voice commands. It is so simple to say, hey, Siri. Oh, my phone just woke up. Well, here. Hey, Siri, how do I get to Costco? and it gives me all the Costco destinations. And or if I, how do I get to a particular destination, an address? It'll just plot it there. You can do the whole thing. You can do the same thing on Samsung devices. You don't have to touch the phone. Can I have my insurance on my phone? It depends. It has to be through an approved app that's secure. It can't be a picture of your insurance. Do cops really care about tint and the percentage limit? Yeah. If it's unsafe, you're peeling the tint off your windows, or I'm taking the plates off your car, and you're getting a tow truck to come get your vehicle. Absolutely. I have to be able to see you. If I can't see you, you're getting a $110 ticket. If it's deemed to be so dark that it's unsafe, you're walking. It's got nothing to do with whether I'm having a good day or a bad day. It's all about safety. Somebody wants to know about someone named Josh. I have no idea who they are. Let's see here. Is using a touchscreen car infotainment equivalent to using a phone? No, it's not. Okay. I love this question. Bryce says, can I go the same speed as an officer if they're going over the speed limit with no lights? No, you can't. See, police are legally permitted to exceed the posted speed limit. You are not. So if you were chasing me or following me at a speed over the posted speed limit, I would pull you over and charge you. I have to go over the speed limit to do half the things I do. You don't. You don't have that exemption under the law. We do. What is this? If I wanted to do a photo shoot with an on-road legal vehicle on a public road, GT race car, would I need a city permit or a police escort? Both. You'd have to have a closed road with permits. Moeen Yusuf says, thank you for your service. Thank you for the thank you. Kin says, thank you. I have 2 teens coming up to age. Awesome. Does Quebec have a separate learner's license because the roads commonly have above 90? They have different rules, I'm sure. And they're totally different. Like if you had a learner's permit here and didn't have a G2, but then moved to Quebec, you'd have to reapply and start from the very beginning. Arun Thaya says, find it funny you always make seems all are funny. Find it funny you always make seems as all police are perfect, and they are not. Nobody is perfect. We are human beings. Human beings make mistakes. So nobody's perfect. Now that we've established that, what's your point? Police generally are operating within the confines of the law, and there are conditions that allow them to do things that are not lawful for you to do, but doesn't make it illegal. But most people get really upset because if we do it, they want to do it, and then, people get hurt feelings. What is your favorite coffee shop and donut? David May wants to know. I'm not picky. First of all, my all-time favorite donut has been and continues to be a raspberry-filled Krispy Kreme. That said, I generally don't like donuts. I don't go out of my way for a donut. If it's there, I could possibly be convinced, but I don't actually need donuts. I definitely don't need donuts. Very rarely do I have them. If I have 2 donuts a year, I'd probably be impressed. In terms of my favorite coffee shop, the one that's closest when I'm needing caffeine. And in most cases, that's the green room across the hall where I have my Nespresso. Okay, Scott says, lost my wallet and can't get replacement until Friday due to money. What should I do if pulled over? Don't drive. If you really don't have your stuff and you can't get it replaced and you can't get anybody to assist you with the fee to cover for that, I wouldn't be driving. If you have access to credit cards, I think they take credit cards there, and I don't think it's more than $25 to get it reprinted, to get a temporary. I do have a suggestion, though. Is that a workaround? If you were to change information like your address, they'll give you a temporary. And I think they might want your old one back. Not sure. Wish I had better suggestions. But yeah, you run the risk of being pulled over and charged $110, which if you are short on cash, is not making your situation any better. Always see left lane campers on the highway, and these guys put emergency flashers on when I flash them. If they're doing the speed limit and they're not actively passing and there's lots of room to the right, they should stay to the right. If they're going faster than the traffic on the right, they should, they're doing the right thing. I know I've gone way over time. We have an appointment? Okay, our appointment is happening. I figured that was going to happen. I was waiting for someone to bring in the cane and pull me off. Here we go. Have a great day. See you tomorrow. Same time, same channel, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m.-ish, right here. Have a great day.
all pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt, save your life indeed. And watch your driving, don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed, because you might go to jail and not get freed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow.
So per usual, my favorite song, the traffic song. Quote of the day, you men pair up in threes. That's a Yogi Berra quote from Achille Draconis. He says, stay safe. Remember, don't have a good day, have a great day. And of course, he has a dad joke he wants to share. A man called his twin brother from prison. Hey, bro, he said, remember when we were younger and used to finish each other's sentences? I don't get it. Was it funny? Called his... My boss says it was funny. It's lost on me. Anyway, tomorrow, 10 a.m., have a great day. Take care.